Hi, thank you for coming to the stream tonight. We're going to be talking about Battlefield, everything about Battlefield, the good, the bad things, where they went right, what they did right, what they did wrong. Tonight, I've got with me Chris T from Chris T Gaming Zone. Stealth Slicer's not arrived at the moment, but we might be having Slavic Pigeon. And we've also got Ben from North Cinematics. And we're tonight just going to be generally talking about Battlefield. So I'll introduce you to the guys we've got at the moment, which is Chris from Christie Gaming and Ben at North Cinematics. So, Chris, if you just want to tell the people who are watching a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Chris back again on The Restless Natives. I am a Battlefield player since 2010s, so I've been doing Battlefield 2 stuff since the beginning of my channel. So I hope tonight I'll bring some interesting information about maybe the future, the past, or who knows, the present, and how the situation will evolve for the future, of course.
Cheers, Chris. And Ben, whose channel's North Cinematics, tell the people a little bit about yourself, mate.
Yeah, so my name's Ben, North Cinematics, and, majority of my content on my channel is about realistic games, but originally it was all about Battlefield, so I do have a bit of an opinion really on the state of Battlefield. So hopefully we'll be able to sort of talk about Battlefield 5 and the issues that obviously we had with that game, and then just obviously looking at the future. So it'll be good to touch upon this franchise that has kind of disappointed me with the last game, let's say. But yeah, hopefully it's on an hopefully it does improve.
Excellent. So we've got the two. I don't know if Slavic Pigeon's here yet. Are you there, Slavic? No. So it's just us three at the moment. I'm sure Stealth Slicer and Slavic Pigeon will join in later. I think probably the best place to start for the three of us, and I'll start off with Chris, is what was your first experience with Battlefield? What was your first Battlefield game, Chris?
So, to get it started, it was back in the days 2010s. I was still a little kid roaming around after school trying to play games. And one day I found at an internet cafe, someone was playing a game with planes, helicopters, tanks, and this infantry as well. Everything else in a single package. So I was like, yo, what kind of game is that? That seriously looks really cool. I never seen this kind of stuff. And he stated something like this. Oh yeah, this is blah blah blah. It's called Battlefield 2. So this is where everything started for me. Since 2010, I've been playing Battlefield. Right now it's actually 10 years since I started playing this franchise.
Wow.
And to this day, I still love the moments, the mods, the community, everything related to Battlefield.
Excellent. And over to you, Ben. What was your... I've just turned my green screen off. My lighting's not doing really well, so I've just got a green background now. Ben, what about you, mate? What was your first experience with a Battlefield game?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm back.
All right, yeah. Well, I'll just... I'll get Ben's over and done with Slavic first, and then we'll get to you, mate.
So I'd just say my first kind of experience with Bad Company 2, I'd say, but I suppose the game that I played the most out of the Battlefield franchise would probably have to be Battlefield 4. I think I sunk about 1,000 hours into that game, and still that's my most favourite Battlefield game. I think in terms of its content, there was just so much of it, and I thought the maps were great, the DLCs were great. I just thought it was a really great game, and I got that on Xbox One, and I got it for Christmas, and that was the best Battlefield game that I'd played. I'd played previous ones, but I suppose I was probably a little bit too young to kind of understand it, but it was just all out destruction. It was all out Battlefield. It was, for me, that's what
the experience.
Battlefield. Yeah, that's what I kind of put all the Battlefield games to. I know, obviously, people have got other opinions on what Battlefield games are the best, but for me, if a game's got great vehicle combat, great infantry combat, great maps that are large and facilitate all these vehicles, have all the destruction as well.
Yeah.
That for me, that's what I'm looking for a Battlefield game. And I can say for Battlefield 5, it was all over the place. The kind of like the vehicles, it was just nowhere near for me what Battlefield 4.
What you expected,
yeah, what I expected. But I did try and give it a bit of a chance. I was always trying to enjoy that game, but it just never.
And I think a lot of the discussion tonight, when we sort of move on, will be about Battlefield 5 and where they went wrong. But no, that was interesting. So anyway, just before I tell you mine, I'll go to, I'll introduce Slavic Pigeon. Slavic Pigeon he was supposed to be here last week. He wasn't here last week. He popped on right at the end. So Slavic, tell the people who are watching a little bit about yourself, mate.
Hello, my name's Slavic Pigeon, and I'm a lazy bastard.
Is that what we're getting?
I'm a miner,
Right.
and I like video games.
Okay, that's cool. Right, okay. Right, okay. So, have you played a Battlefield game before, Slavic?
Yeah,
What was your first experience with Battlefield?
Battlefield 4.
Battlefield 4, yep.
360.
Wow. And did you play any of the ones after it? Was it just that one, or have you played?
It was just that one until I got a PS4, and I saw that Battlefield 1 was coming out. I was like,
Okay.
"Ooh, I'm going to give that a try." I played every now and then, but I mainly stuck to Battlefield 4.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Right, okay. Well, my first experience with a Battlefield game was Battlefield 2. To be honest, I wasn't overly impressed with it. But then Battlefield 3 came out and I was pretty much blown away. But as Ben said before, my favourite Battlefield of all time is Battlefield 4. I played the hell out of that game and I loved it. It's what I expect, like Ben was saying, a Battlefield game should be. I have played all the rest. I played Battlefield 1. I played Hardline, and I'm one of the players, and we'll talk about it later, that really loved Hardline. I still love the game. Played Battlefield 5 for about 5 minutes and I hated it. I absolutely hated that game, and I give EA and DICE a lot of stick about it. But again, we'll sort of move on to why we thought Battlefield 5 was good or bad later. But that's my first experience was Battlefield 2. Like I say, I wasn't overly impressed. And my favourite one was Battlefield 4. Now, I'm going to go over to Chris because Chris still does, if you subscribe to his channel, he does a lot of modding gameplay. He loves the modding community. And I think it was with Battlefield 2, Chris. I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about that, because you're the most experienced person that knows about the modding scene. And I believe it was Battlefield 2?
Yeah, it was Battlefield 2. Like the modding solidly grown up on Battlefield 2, because how everyone says in this entire franchise, like you take all timers from like the original to the newest ones. Yeah, there's like starters which started with Frostbite games, and there's old timers like me which started in Refractor Engine. So there's like a fractured community, one which likes the new games which aren't moddable. There are some attempts to actually make them having custom content, and there's the original, like entries running on Refractor, which you can basically modify everything towards it. That's why you actually see World War II shooters now spawning, because Battlefield 2 had a mod called Forgotten Hope 2, set in World War II. There's also Project Reality, like a realistic simulation. Without it, you wouldn't be seeing Squad, Postscriptum, and even Beyond the Wire, because it's kinda based on the mechanics from Refractor Engine. So, modding scene is really important. Like for Battlefield 2, the game standalone itself, like by today's standards, is complete garbage now. Like the engine is really slow, it's really outdated. Even though community still loves the game, is because of the modding. Because you have zombie mods, apocalypse mods, like World War II mods again. You have even future simulation and they even tried to actually make like a Levolution inside Battlefield 2's engine. It
Wow.
was like it was an attempt, but still, it's like, it's barely working, but still, they try to make this kind of stuff.
But you love the modding scene, don't you, Chris? Sorry to put in Lulu just in the chat there. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it's just when it goes to Twitter. Apparently, the category still says Insurgency Sandstorm, and I did change it. But I think when I put it up on Twitter, it said Insurgency Sandstorm, but everywhere else I've put it, it says Battlefield. Lulu, I do apologise. I do apologise for that, but I've just checked it again, and it does say Battlefield. Anyway, it is about Battlefield tonight. I do apologise if it came up. I actually put about 3 or 4 tweets that I had to delete because it kept coming up as Insurgency Sandstorm, but maybe that's telling me something, that we might have to have a little word about Sandstorm at the end. But yeah, going back to Chris, you see, I used to, that's where I actually met Chris and started talking about Chris. And again, don't forget to go and subscribe to his channel, Chris T Gaming Zone. If you like the modding stuff, he does more than that. But that's how I met Chris, watching his modding videos, and then we started talking, and that was a good few years ago now. Are you actually involved in the community of modding, Chris? Do you follow certain people? Is there anyone that we should know about that?
Hello?
Hey, Chris, did you? I think you might have been. I think you might.
Just went off.
Yeah, I think. Oh, mine went off.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I think it was. I thought it was Chris, but.
All right, okay.
Maybe. I don't know who.
Well. Anyway, what I was saying, Chris, is do you actually have a community of modders? Is there certain people out there maybe should know about, that to follow, and to if they're interested in it, to go and watch on YouTube? I know you do a lot of alpha and beta testing. Is there any way you can point people in the right direction if they're interested in modding?
So if you are really interested in trying out Battlefield mods, like the older ones, there is also 1942 mods, there's Battlefield 2 mods. I'm mostly interested in Battlefield 2, 2142, since basically everyone is sticking towards these games, because they're, from what I heard, quite easy to mod, and they're really entertaining, and you get this pumped up feeling when you see this is a decade-old game, and it still looks fantastic in 2020.
Yeah.
If you look, there is a mod for Battlefield 2, which I actually beta tested myself, since I'm quite into this modding community. I got relations with developers. I'm getting alpha trials and beta testings, although I'm not recording those for channel, unless I'm allowed to do so.
Yeah, because
so
there's an NDA that goes with that as well, Chris.
This is basically an NDA, so I only got only 2 projects which I ever did show on my channel doing beta testing.
Okay.
And it was Project Zombie Strike, zombie mod, and there was the recent one with unlimited action. Those are the only 2 ones which I was allowed to share on my channel, and everything else was basically under NDA. It was beta testing, alpha trials, just to get everything polished.
So, Chris, would you encourage people to have a look at all this modding stuff? Is it complicated? Sure. Is it, or can you just load the game and away it goes? Or is there any sort of coding you have to do? Is there any specific things you have to do? Just while I'm here, Nintendo Switch, we'll address your question next after Chris is finished. So, yeah, is there certain things you have to do, Chris?
Yeah, you actually have to mess a bit with the files of the game, because, it's a bit annoying to run the mods, especially the ones which are quite unbalanced and can produce crashes for the game. That's one downside, which you actually have to go through, is because of beta testing, sometimes the game just crashes, or it can crash your entire system.
Shit.
That's you have to be careful when it comes to these topics.
Just it's probably to have a look into it before they actually put the feet in there and start playing the mod games.
Yeah, you should be more careful when it comes to this.
I was just going to say as well, just to build upon what Chris was saying, just about those mods. I don't think you mentioned Project Reality and like Forgotten Hope, because basically, I mean, I'm not massive on Battlefield 2, but the one mod that I do really like, because of it being a realistic sort of mod, is Project Reality. It kind of just overhauls the game entirely and gives it a completely different look and and play. And then you've got Forgotten Hope, which basically turns Battlefield 2, a modern shooter, into World War 2, which just shows you what the modding community can do.
Yeah.
But Battlefield just don't want to let them even mod the game now with
not anymore. No.
future ones. So
no.
Yeah, that is
a shame.
Quite a shame. Like everyone else from that community was like, back in the days, was just bitching. When Battlefield 3 came out, they were bitching like, where's the mod tools? Where is custom content? Everything is just paid and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Battlefield 2 did like a great way. So they had the base game, then there was like booster packs and an expansion pack. That's basically it. So you have those paid content features, then you can actually release the mod tools. So once the game actually finished developing, they release the mod tools so people can actually improve the game upon.
From there, yeah. Right, okay. Go on. Sorry, Chris, I thought you'd finished.
And sadly, with the Frostbite, this is a proprietary engine, and they use some sort of tools which actually are closed source. So from what I understand, that's the reason why we still don't see more tools with Battlefield.
There's Frosty Editor, I think that
is that not just for cinematics though?
I don't know. I think you can go into the files, but I'm not sure if you can edit them yet for Battlefield 5 because they are looking to make it not just read only. Because at the moment you can access all the files, but you can't edit them. But I'm not sure in the future if they're going to add that.
Right,
that is true, but. It's not actually using the engine itself. That's a workaround.
Right, okay.
Too, they actually use the engine itself to create this. While Frostbite SDK, I actually got a build of Frostbite 2 SDK, and it's quite dangerous. I've actually searched some of the files from that SDK, and a lot of them are closed source. They have a lot of relations with Xenon, Xbox 360 and PS3. Basically, they're really tight, written into the game, so it's impossible to use it as an SDK and stuff.
Right, so we've had some questions that we could possibly do, if that's all right with you guys. And don't forget, Slavik, you can join in. Right, okay, so Nintendo Switch said, would you rather have, as a next game, a Vietnam Battlefield or a modern Battlefield? Now, I'll go first, and because my favourite game was Battlefield 4, I would definitely say I want a modern game. I think, and this is just my own personal opinion, I think because of the way they handled a World War II game, that they would fuck up a Vietnam game, and I'd hate to see that. So for me, it's definitely going to be a modern one. So what about you, Ben?
I was basically going to say what you said, because I think if they're going to go historical, that's a no for me, especially from what they've done with Battlefield 5.
Yeah,
that to me scares me. But with a modern game, I think I've said this in a previous video, but I said, basically with modern, it gives them that creative liberty.
Of course it does, yeah.
You can kind of suspend, you can kind of get into it more with a modern shooter, where if it's Vietnam, you expect that sort of setting.
And if it's fictitious, they can go any direction they want, because they've got that, what's it called, artistic liberty, yeah, to do what they want, because it's not real, it's not historic. Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
100%.
Totally agree. What about you, Chris? Vietnam or a modern Battlefield? What would you prefer?
To get everything started, it should
Evening
be
Newcastle.
It should be modern, mainly because the historical thing, it's been overused now. We got Battlefield 1 from 2016. It's been Battlefield V5. I can't be arsed to learn this thing. We've been having historical titles for nearly 5 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's time to have something fresh on the table.
Yeah,
So for sure
exactly.
we need to have
Totally
more.
agree. Totally agree. Slavic, what about you, mate? Are you still there? What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm still there.
Would you prefer a Vietnam or a modern Battlefield as the next Battlefield?
The idea of a Battlefield Vietnam game is fantastic.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think I do prefer a modern vibe again to Battlefield because I have missed that for modern.
Yeah, I think that's with everyone. In all fairness, Slavic, I think that's everyone, the community in general. If we just stay here for 1 second, see, I really hated Battlefield V, Battlefield 5, whatever you want to call it, but I loved Battlefield 1. That was a historic game. I love that game. So, I mean, they can do it. But I just wouldn't like them to fuck up it.
I don't think they wanted it, or maybe it's just they just couldn't do what they wanted to do. Like they were just told it had to be made this certain way, and DICE were kind of restricted, or they wanted to try and give us something unique because obviously most of the other World War II games were like more traditional, and they kind of wanted to do something new. They kept saying about this modern look on World War II, and it's like nobody wanted that from Battlefield. What we were expecting from Battlefield was a proper World War II game that it didn't have to be like a documentary of World War II.
No.
It just had to be a game that resembled that period, and that we could kind of go, yeah, this is World War II. It looks like a World War II game, but you know, like Battlefield 1 did, they had all kinds of different weapons. And like people were saying with World War 1, that when we first found out about that leak, we were all going, oh, World War 1, that's just trenches. That's just
I think they did it so well.
They did it fantastic. And I think that was fantastic because what they'd done there is they'd surprised us. And yeah, they took a modern look on World War 1, but it still felt like World War 1. It was just kind of the untold story of World War One, whereas with Battlefield 5, they were saying untold stories of World War Two, but that's not World War Two.
No.
Even the story, it wasn't proper story missions. They were basically taking sort of a little bit of what happened. I think there was a snow map at the Norwegian mission, and they kind of
and they proper bastardized it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was to really make a political statement where they're adding the two female characters to something that never even happened.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It was with the SAS. It wasn't the SAS. At the time,
was it the Norwegian Special Forces or something?
In cooperation with the British Special Forces, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And that would have been so much more interesting than fucking going on skiing down to a fucking factory and shooting a bunch of German. It's pointless. They had such a good opportunity there, but because the technology that we have these days, it's fantastic what they could have done, but they've messed it up.
Yeah, exactly.
There. It was really frustrating, but that's why, like you were saying about historical shooters, just mate. Please don't.
Don't do it. Don't go because, like you say, you could if it's going to be a modern one, and that's why I prefer it. I think that they can do. No one can moan. No one can say this is right, that's right, because they're saying, look, it's a fictitious modern shooter. We're not giving it any sort of environment. We can do what we fucking want. And when they've got that sort of game to be able to work on, that's where I think DICE are best.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I'm going to be a bit controversial and say this straight up. Battlefield 1 is fucking garbage.
Chris took a shit on that game.
Fucking garbage. That thing was completely destroyed because of random deviation, random recoil.
Oh, that was fucked up. That was.
Vehicles are just tin cans, and bombers are just like insanely overpowered.
Terminators.
And there was promised customization for the game.
And that didn't. I know that's you right. That didn't happen to the extent.
Low amount of content, like the base game. I know the style. The style was really great. Like I'm saying this straight up. The style was great. The setting was great, but they fucked up the mechanics, and the gameplay. Like it became so casual after Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4.
I mean, Newcastle in the Newcastle. How you doing, mate? We did say hello before. Newcastle is actually totally agreeing with you, Chris. He said, "I agree with Chris."
Thank you very much, mate.
So there is. I mean, that's why I was saying before. I loved it. I loved Battlefield 1. There was points that I did, that I didn't like, and there was things that, like the bullet deviation was a fucking joke. But I don't know. I played the shit. I think because at that time I was still playing the Xbox One, and I met a lot of really, really good people on that game. A lot of guys. I'm still. We had we had to have two, because the first one, the TRN, the Restless Natives. The clan filled up that quick, and everyone was asking, can we join? Because we joined, we got that popular. We had two in the end, and there's still people out there that I speak to from those days, and there's people who still run with the tag, the TRN tag. And yeah, I like that, but I knew a lot of people and a lot of the bigger Battlefield YouTubers like Level Cap, and who's the other one I watch? X Factor. They hated it, and if you remember rightly, Level Cap actually got dropped from the Game Changers program because of the shit he was giving it. So I think it was you either liked it or you hated it, and I was one of those people that liked it. In all fairness,
that was my least played Battlefield game out of all.
Battlefield 1, was it?
Yeah, so that does say for me, like, I was never, like, I love the setting and stuff, but it just never got, I didn't get into that Battlefield game, and that was like kind of a letdown for me. But I do know that obviously there's loads of people that did really enjoy it, so it's just one of them.
Yeah, really it is. So I think we can sort of, I'm going to go and have a cigarette, and I always say it, don't start smoking. It's a shitty habit. It's just that it is, for me, a habit. But we've got another question from Felix. Felix is my partner's son, and he said, what's the most memorable Battlefield campaign for you? So we'll start with Chris this time.
All right, so out of all memorable, like, campaigns and stuff like this, Bad Company 2, like, that campaign is blowing everything else out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, if you take it, for example, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, it's still, Bad Company 2 is like way above that thing. Even though, like Roach, Ghost, everything like that, Bad Company had like, it was a bit grittier than the original. The Bad Company was a bit funnier, it was just like a way to train yourself and get into the multiplayer, while Bad Company 2 continued the story. It got a bit more grittier, and it still had like open sections where you could have fun. And Swedes, Haggard, like Preston Marlowe, everyone from the like previous game were still there. You were having fun, and you are still pumped. If you finish the game, you are still pumped to see what's coming next, because we've been left on a cliffhanger for like 10 years now. So to this day, I'm still thinking that Bad Company 2's campaign is the best, and I'm still waiting for the sequel.
I just want to say hello to some of the people in the stream just before I go to you, Ben, if that's all right. I want to say hello to Lulu, Nintendo Switch, Felix is probably still watching, Randy Higgins, who comes on my videos a lot. Really nice to see you, mate. Newcastle One, as ever. I think he comes on yours as well, Ben.
Yeah, hi, Newcastle,
yeah, he's a really nice geezer. We got and Howard Hopkins has just popped in, and he was one of the guys I was talking about before that I met on Battlefield 1, and we used to have a really good time. And he said, I'm going to go on to your comment shortly, Howard. Stealth's here, Stealth Slicer.
Yeah, Stealth, what's up, mate?
Apologies, gents.
No worries, mate.
Jump in chat and bring myself up to speed. Can I get a overview of what we've had so far?
Right, okay. So what we've done, I think people out there know Stealth Slicer from last week. So what we've talked about is Battlefield in general, our first experiences with Battlefield, the first game, We've talked about what our favourite Battlefield game was, and just general at the beginning. And now what we're doing is going through the watchers' questions and sort of answering them. And I can bring you in on this one, Stealth, but we're just going to go to Ben now, and then I'll come to you and Slavic.
Yeah,
So Ben, your favourite campaign, mate?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I don't really play Battlefield for the campaign, but if I was to pick one, I did enjoy Bad Company 2. I thought that was really good. What Chris said, I agree. But I think with Battlefield 3, I actually didn't mind that campaign. I thought it was all right. It wasn't that memorable or anything, but I did kind of like the setting for it. I thought it was quite interesting. It was, took you to a lot of nice locations, but I just never think that Battlefield's strongest point has been the campaign.
No, you're right.
I think they can build upon it as well, though. I mean, I actually didn't mind what they were doing with Battlefield Hardline's campaign. I know lots of people hated that. It could have been executed way, way better. But I think I like the idea of having like the cops and robbers sort of story. But again, they kind of didn't execute it as well as it should have been. They were going down like this TV narrative and trying to push it as like a Netflix series, and it didn't do too well. But it was a nice idea. It was nice to see that they were changing things up. But yeah, for me, Battlefield campaigns, it's just never been their strong point.
But you think yours, if you had to pick one, it would be Battlefield 3.
Probably Battlefield 3, yeah.
So we'll go on to Slavic now. So I think I know what the answer is going to be here. Just to answer Randy, just a second. Yeah, I've tried vaping, mate. It gives me a bad throat and bad chest, believe it or not, and smoking doesn't. Anyway, cheers for the question anyway, Randy. But Slavic, I think, like I say, I know what your answer is going to be, but what was your favourite campaign?
I don't think I should have an opinion on this one because Battlefield 4 was the only campaign I really finished and played it the most. So I think I'm gonna
just stick at that. That's it. It's Battlefield 1. So one thing I've never really talked to Stealth about, in all fairness, are you historically a Battlefield player?
Indeed, I am.
Oh, excellent.
The series from its initial outing with 1940.
Oh, I think he's probably got someone
Apologies.
in there. No, it's all right. It's all right.
Brief interruption.
That's all right. Okay.
Yeah, so I joined the series with 1942. I believe I've got the number right, because I know they did release the sequel, which was 1943 or 44. I can't remember. I always forget which one it is. So I joined the series from there. I went through all of the various iterations of the 1940s games that they came out. I did Battlefield 2, all Battlefield 2's expansions, Battlefield 3, briefly touched 4, unfortunately never got into 5, 1, or 1. But in answer to the question of which one I found the best, I would have to go with 3, given that it was the only one that actually had a standalone campaign. But even then, in comparison to other FPSs, I would say that Battlefield 3's campaign was fairly weak on account of it didn't explain its story. It had a story to tell and you could find it there, but it didn't tell the story well. It was a beautiful, beautiful game, excellent set pieces, but there were certain moments where the campaign just didn't make sense. It didn't, for example, when you shoot, I think it's Sergeant Fowler or Foster, is it?
So it was that memorable.
Yeah. When you are confronting Nikolai in the mansion by the pool, I understand why you do not fire on Nikolai. I understand why Foster is wishing to apprehend Nikolai. I do not understand why Foster is attempting to apprehend you, who is one of his squad mates that he's just breached the building with. I also do not understand why you open fire on and kill Foster. That doesn't make sense to me. In any realistic situation like that, granted, of course, this is a video game, I have no idea why Sergeant Foster would be acting in the way he did. I would have no idea why you would react in the way you did. It doesn't make sense to me. The story was poorly executed, but there was a story there, and I just wish that had been executed better, to be honest.
So for you then, if you had to pick one, it would be Battlefield 3's campaign?
It would be 3 because there weren't any others that I've had the pleasure of playing through.
Right, okay.
Equally, I would also say that 3 did have its issues.
Sure. So I mean, it's me now, and I'll reiterate. I think what Ben was saying. One thing I don't think Battlefield can do or have been able to do is campaigns. But believe it or not, my favourite campaign, and I think I played it about three, maybe 4 times. Believe it or not, was Hardline. It was that was my favourite campaign. I mean, very close was Battlefield 3 because I did like that campaign, but I think it's because I, in general, really liked Hardline. I'm one of these minorities that really loved Hardline.
Did you like what they were doing with that?
I loved it. I loved it. I think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake, and that's I wanted to talk about Hardline because Howard Hopkins said Hardline rules, and the big mistake for me with Battlefield Hardline, because it was only the end of last year, maybe it's the beginning of this year, that me and Ben were playing the game, and we had a ball. We had a brilliant time. The game mechanics were fantastic. The way the game ran was fantastic, but the biggest mistake for me for the Battlefield Hardline was the fact that they called it a Battlefield game. They should have released it as an independent. You know, it is made by DICE. It's made by the developers who make Battlefield. The worst thing they did was call it a Battlefield game, because as soon as people seen Cops and Robbers, they slagged it off. It wasn't a Battlefield game because it was a great game.
It was really good. And that led to Visceral Games being shut down as well.
I know.
I honestly, to be fair though, Visceral have been on the rocks after the Dead Space saga. Granted, I do think Dead Space is a very good game. You should go play it if you haven't. It's a very enjoyable story, very well executed. Granted, I would say though, you're absolutely right. Putting the Battlefield branding on it was a bad move, and I feel had they not taken that move, I could see them having a second IP, a thriving IP on their hands now. But
sorry, I couldn't help myself. I'm laughing there. Just looked at the chat. We've got Scott Jordan, and he's put Devlin Rogan. I'm shaving my hair for no fucker. So welcome, Scott Jordan. Always nice to see you, mate.
Hi, Scott.
It's honestly a shame Hardline died. Like,
it is.
It's a shame because it was basically a fixed Battlefield 4. And they announced it in 2014, like a year after Battlefield 4 released, and still was in a buggy state. Everything was just a mess. So everyone else was like looking at Battlefield Hardline, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, that's a Battlefield 4 DLC, like standalone." So everyone just trashed it. Once they beta tested it, they said, "Oh, it's Battlefield 4, who cares?" And they just dumped it. Instead,
and it was so stable. There was never any lag. The optimization was fantastic. The gunplay was brilliant. The attachments and the way you could, I don't know what I have no idea why people just hated on the game and why it was dropped.
I do, because what you were saying about the Battlefield name, and people were basically saying, "Oh, it's going too close to Call of Duty now." Why? Because it wasn't really focused on vehicle gameplay, so it was mainly just infantry combat and
couch.
And most, and people were just thinking, like, what's the difference between this game and Call of Duty? It's getting too close to Call of Duty now, which I think that was a big turn off for people. But it was a brilliant game, and it should have been looked at as a separate entity from Battlefield.
Just want to say hello to Mass Raider, who's just popped in. How you doing, Mast?
Good evening, Mast.
Good evening, Mast. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, it was unfortunately just as you're entirely right in everything you say, Ben. They put the Battlefield name on it, and people expected the Battlefield game,
and it's not what they got
on Battlefield, but it was not a Battlefield game. Unfortunately, people were unable to look past that because in their minds they were promised the Battlefield game. That's not what they got.
Yeah,
and I just think it's a shame. For me, Battlefield Hardline was a great. I'd go as far as saying it's a fantastic game.
Could I offer a slightly joined question to that?
Go on.
If we exclude Battlefield Hardline, because we know in among this panel we have almost universal approval for it, what do we think is our most personally underrated Battlefield game?
Ooh.
I know what mine is.
Underrated. So I suppose it's Bad Company, like the original Bad Company, the first released on like 360.
I play that.
Yeah, I played that.
Yeah, it's really underrated.
See, I have to again. I liked it, and the Bad Company games, and they're like in Battlefield Folklore. I didn't like. I didn't like them as much as apparently I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like
that everyone who's a Battlefield fan is meant to automatically
I just put Bad Company 2 in today, and it's still fucking. It's still great in 2020. It's not. It's fucking not.
The mechanics, like by today's standard, it's shit. Like the idea of it, the premise, it was fantastic. And if you go back and like
in its day,
it was amazing. It was doing things that like games weren't even really doing,
like destruction and
yeah. That was massive. And that really, I think that was the game after Battlefield 2. I'm not sure if that was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So it was like such a big leap. It was like Battlefield 2, and then you got Bad Company. And I think it was a really good game, but yeah, when I go play it like Bad Company 2, yeah, it's a great game, and I love the Vietnam DLC. I think that's one of the best DLCs ever made for a Battlefield game. I think it's fantastic, but like the mechanics, how like it's really just it doesn't feel great to play, but it is a good game. I do still enjoy it, but a lot of people, it's nostalgia, really.
And there's another one. Master's just put in the chat. He thinks 1943 was the most underrated Battlefield game.
That's good. Yeah, that was actually a really good game.
Yeah, it was.
Only on 360. I might be wrong, but I think it was on. It might have been on PC as well, but I played it on 360. And
right.
I thought it was fantastic. It was
1943. Yeah, it was only on consoles.
Yeah, and yeah. So I think there was only like 4 maps or something. I think it was a really small game, and it was only multiplayer, but. It was good. It was a nice little. It wasn't expensive either. It was like a sort of reduced price game. I think it was about £15. So
sorry to butt in.
That's all right. No,
from Battlefield 2, from Battlefield 2 community actually remade that game into a mod for Battlefield 2, so you can just freely go and download it and try it.
I'm actually gonna do that. I keep saying every time I speak to Chris, I say I'm gonna have to try these mods and that, and I never bloody do it. I'm gonna have to do that. I am. I'm definitely gonna have to have a look at these mods because I watched. That's what I originally started watching Chris for. So here's something a little bit controversial, and we might get our wrist slapped. So Battlefield 5. So I'm looking at MD. MD, thank you for the question. He said, and do you know what? I totally agree with him. He said SJWs ruined Battlefield. Now I think they did. They did. And I mean the
good arguments for that.
But EA and DICE should never have pandered to these people. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? I had these arguments and I made these videos about women in games, and they're saying, okay, it's just a game and they can put women in. Why? They said it's going to be the most authentic World War II game that we're going to get. Yeah.
May I pick up off that, please, Dan?
Yeah.
Because I have a serious bone to pick with Battlefield 5. And that is, yes, they put in female characters. Yes, they put in this. Yes, they put in that. Yes, they claimed it was realistic. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Why do I say it's bullshit?
Agreed.
Because the telemark mission is why I say it's bullshit. You create these 2 fictional characters.
We were talking about that.
Let me finish. You insert them into a real story with real people who are still alive. You strip away their glory and you attribute it to 2 fictional characters to please the SJWs.
Exactly.
Fuck right off. And what you do instead to keep those people happy is you take the blood and you take the battles and you take everything and you go over to the French Free Forces of the Interior. You go over to the French Resistance, La Resistance, and you go with those guys because they had an awful lot of very brave women, and a lot of them did not see the end of the war.
No.
They did not see their country free, but they fought and they died for it, and you could make hundreds, if not thousands, of glorious stories out of that.
Of course they could.
Instead, you chose to personally replace 5 incredibly brave, some still alive men from their own story.
For a couple of women.
That is the only story. That is the story that people will now think of when they think of the telemark. Oh yeah, that Battlefield 5 mission with a mother and a daughter, I believe it was. fuck off.
Yeah.
Remember the actual people that fought and died.
No, you're right. You're right.
I agree with him. Yeah, because most people get the history from pop culture. That's where they sort of think, that mission. Oh yeah, that was those.
That was two women.
Completely
Not
brave.
much of a lie, but
Fantastic.
you guys remember the Baikonur Cosmodrome mission from the original Black Ops? One guy that I used to know, he actually took Black Ops as a representation of factional
fact.
history. Yeah, I was like,
No.
fuck, mate.
You'd be surprised though.
People look at these games and people don't question them, even when they're completely fantastical, like Black Ops was. It's complete bullshit. But when you create a story, that's fine. When you start writing real people out of real history and dancing on their graves before they're even in it,
exactly,
that's when I have a problem
Yeah.
with you.
When you
it's just what you. I was just going to add to your point as well. Like when they were saying, it's like if you ask people who have just played Battlefield 5, they go, "Oh, there were so many women, so many great brave women fighting on the front line." Whereas like there was there's so many great stories that you could actually tell of real women that were fighting, helping in the back end.
Like Stel said, the resistance. There was a lot of brave women. They weren't. I mean, they weren't on the front line officially, but so brave, the resistance, and there was nothing done about that. But they gave a real story with a bullshit fucking narrative.
Can I say something that some viewers may find this distressing?
Well, I'm going for a cigarette, so keep going.
Okay. Let me just put this in perspective for you. There is a story, and I can't remember all of the details, but I've got it on decent authority that it's at least grounded in truth. But basically, there were, I believe it was 3 women who were involved with espionage upon Nazi Germany. And they ended up injected with hydrochloric acid, essentially, to kill them, basically. But they didn't all die. And one of them actually survived. It rendered them unconscious, but they survived. And during the process of disposing of the bodies, they were to be cremated. And apparently it's on record that one of the women actually woke up and attacked the individuals around her. And she was ultimately killed, of course. But again, these are the stories that you can tell, of honorable and brave women who went behind the lines and fought and risked everything and lost everything, because those people are the true heroes. Anyone who actually fought is a true hero. You don't have to make up these fictional people and fictional stories, or even insert them into real stories. There are plenty of them out there that you can just find by looking at it. And as I say, even if you want to go something closer to home, talk about La Resistance, talk about the home front. Granted, there was no fighting on the British home front because they never got across the channel. But think of actual people that actually fought. If you really wanted to also go for a very interesting one, the Warsaw Uprising. The Warsaw Uprising was an incredible story. Fully armed, I think it was a division or a battalion, was sent in to crush these people. And they held out, and they fought, and they fought, and they fought almost to the last, because Polish Home Army, they were not about to let their country be oppressed for one moment longer. And in the end, it was hopeless. But they stuck
by it. Yeah. So I was just looking at the chat there. Let's have a look. Scott Jordan said, while researching for his video, he found a hilarious story about one of the elite soldiers, I think in Battlefield 5, Wilhelm. And he's just put, they accidentally named him after a real-life anti-Nazi party politician, which was the complete opposite of the ruthless killer he is in BFV. So they changed his surname. So there's an example of what Stealth was just saying there, that the sometimes inadvertently pointing to an actual event and giving an actual bullshit narrative to what in effect was a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, people need to realize, this isn't like ancient history. This is something that is incredibly well documented and well researched. World War II is probably the most researched conflict in history, because it only happened back in 1939 to 45,
and I wasn't born then.
There you go. Really, it's not that long ago. It's 2 lifetimes, maybe, if that. I mean, I think it was early 2000s or just before 2000 when the last Tommy died, the last individual who fought in both World War One and World War Two.
Yeah.
It's Mass Raider. I'm right there with you.
So many stories lost. Yeah, he's right.
That is what I find most poignant, because we can tell all the stories we want. We can have all the stories documented. What about the stories that didn't survive? What about that the mission at the start of Battlefield 1 entitled where it comes up with the splash screen, this is real combat, you are not expected to survive.
Yeah.
What about those millions of stories that we will never hear? How amazing. I use this phrase glorious a lot when talking about war. War is not glorious.
No.
I use glorious to speak of those moments where a human being goes above and beyond for what they perceive to be
what they believe in. Yeah, no, exactly.
It's nothing to do with the politics. It is purely the individual's self-drive and commitment to what they see as right.
But don't get me wrong. I understand that there's only so much that they can put in a video game. But if you're going to put something, put the right thing, put exactly what happened. Don't pander to SJWs, and I don't care. You can call me whatever names you want. Don't pander to SJWs just because you think it's the right thing and you'll be ostracized on the internet or whatever. Fuck that. If you're going to tell a story, which some people out there that, like you say, were there, these brave people that are still alive, that you're going to offend because they were there. They knew exactly what was going on. And you're telling us, or you're trying to tell a story within a video game and bastardize it. That's what I'm totally against.
Oh, yeah. I mean... That's the thing. It annoys me so much because DICE did so well with certain things. For example, Der Tiger, the mini campaign where you take control of a tiger crew, and you're going through them. Granted, it was purely fictional. I thought that was an incredibly good campaign. Granted, I only got to watch it, I never got to play it. Because you have the great disparity between the characters. Initially, you have a crew consisting of 2 young boys, obviously drawn from the Hitler Youth, your driver, your commander. I'm not sure if there are any other crew members. I can't quite 100% remember. I believe those are the characters that I focused on. One of them immediately goes missing because he deserts his post. That's understandable. He is later found hanged. That's a real thing. That did happen. The other individual is saying, yes, it's good that he hung. It's good that he hung. He was brainwashed. That's what happened.
Yeah.
The commander, the officer himself, being an educated individual, very aware of what's going on, and is just like, well, this is FUBAR. And the driver himself, he is very much a head down man of action. He gets through the missions, he gets through it all. Everything is fine. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep the tank working. And then the bridge is blown at the end, and he finally loses it because he finally realizes that this is all pointless and useless, and he gets up and he walks away.
Yeah.
And while your character, I perceive to be the officer, is out of the turret shouting at him, come back, get in the tank, it's not safe, it's not safe. Not because he wants him back in the tank to run the tank, but because he wants his friend to be safe.
Yeah.
And the other child, I believe is either the gunner or the loader, I can't remember, guns him down with MP40. And he believes that to be right. And I find that's an excellent and very poignant in the story, because people were in that state of mind. And then, of course, when the commander himself gets out, runs over to his dying friend, American GIs come over the ridge, they're shouting at him, he stands up. And the child is saying, get back in the tank, get back in the tank. And it's a complete role reversal. And he just puts his hand up because he knows, fuck this. It's over. And then the child off screen, it just goes in on the child, shouts 9, just absolutely distraught, and opens fire on him again. And again, this is the whole great thing about the story that they inadvertently told. War is mental, and war warps your personality and your perspective of things, because this child was looking up to the officer. He's now absolutely distraught, yet still guns him down.
Yeah.
There are great stories that you can base upon facts, but don't have to be stories in and of themselves. You don't have to completely create things. You can just base them on what is factual. And I thought that was good because it was a very good representation of the mentalities. It was, for me, personalities and mentalities personified into characters and almost pitted off against each other.
Yeah. So, right, okay. So I think we all agree that Battlefield 5v, whatever you want to call it, was for me the worst Battlefield game. But I want to go to Chris because I know Chris disliked this game. What were your overall impressions of Battlefield 5, Chris?
So, ever since this conversation started, I'm actually concentrating on myself to not lose shit.
I bet you've been shaking with anger.
Because I'm really fucking despising this game because they lost a lot of potential. I've seen from the Apocalypse DLC of Battlefield 1 that the next game will be garbage because the release of that thing was a complete travesty. And judging by the final DLC of the game, I knew something was up. And when I seen that steamy load of shit in form of the trailer, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be quite the spice. So, first up to say, they didn't include USSR, they didn't include like half, maybe all of Africa, they haven't included like the Pearl Harbor stuff.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The most important parts, like even the Soviet Union, because we have like Night Witches, we had like the uprising, as you said, in Poland.
538.
D-Day landings, everything that they've made.
D-Day
Yeah.
landings, the important stuff, they just took a shit on it and they just said fuck off. There is also Romanian, like the Romanian front was really exciting back in the days. Like I had a lot of hopes to see that in like Battlefield 1, since in World War 1 it was like a brutal shitfest. There was like the Russian Empire, which like was decaying, so it was only Romania against Austro-Hungary,
Hungary,
and Germany. So they were basically only Romanians and Bulgaria as well. So they basically 3 versus 1. It was like a shocking turnaround. And I expected to see this kind of like spy games because Romania switched sides like 3 times in the war from Soviets to like Nazis. And
exactly. So go on.
So they just like lost stories down the shitter instead of just fucking diversity. They just wasted so many damn stories. Romania.
No, it's true.
Star,
It's true.
like fucking Pacific.
We got bionic arms, though.
No, yeah, prosthetic arms. Don't fucking start me on that.
Even the nukes, imagine like fighting as the last remaining Japanese soldier, like, you know, seeing the planes in the sky, how they come in, you know there's a bomb and it drops.
And it's on its way and you know you're going to die.
You know you're fucked. So you see like coming here is like, that's the end of war. That's what I wanted to see.
So Chris, apart from that, I mean, we obviously we're all disappointed with the way the game was presented to us, but the only, I think there's one positive thing I can say about Battlefield 5, Chris, and I don't know if you thought the same, because I dropped that game because I got myself in a bit of shit because I bought the game, I refunded the game, and then I actually bought the EA access. I got it in with that, and you know, it was a mistake that buying that game, because I uninstalled it, and I know Ben kept saying, you know, come on, try again, and I just kept deleting the game, and I've not played it for a long time. But you know, the one good thing that came out of that game was the gunplay was fucking great. The gunplay was actually great.
Honestly, after I played the closed alpha, I was like shocked that I got an invite on closed
I
alpha.
know.
It resembled Battlefield 2. I'm not kidding. It was Battlefield 2. Like it was just a Frostbite game with Battlefield 2 mechanics.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy hell. The gameplay is actually amazing. They just need to improve like on the content.
Yeah.
Have all of this, you know, propaganda removed from the game. Have like maps. That was it. Like the game was ideal when it came to the gunplay and all that stuff.
I know, because I dropped it really quick. After
the beta release, this was a complete dumpster. I was like, what the hell is this shit? Like,
That's
they
true.
completely destroyed it. So they tried to make it like Battlefield 3, 4 like. They wanted to make it casual. They flopped. And on the release, it was just a complete disaster.
And now they've just dropped the game. They've just that game has gone. Exactly.
None of them are doing videos.
Exactly.
It's all Battlefield 4.
Exactly.
It's all Battlefield 1.
Exactly.
And Westy's gone to bloody Warzone.
I know. He's a COD maniac now. So Ben, anyway, I know for a long time you tried to defend the game, and I think because I think it was more that you wanted to like the game rather than you actually did like the game. Because I used to come on just so I think at the time it was just to try and get some footage. So for you, what was the thing that Battlefield 5 all went wrong? What was it for you?
I mean, when it first got revealed, I think I was in denial. I just wanted it to be good, and my whole channel before this was
based on Battlefield.
Yeah, and it was all about trying to keep up to date with everything Battlefield 5, and for ages I kept defending it, and like you said, I was trying to get you on all the time, but just to get footage and stuff. But I mean, just as the game, it's like if you take all the bullshit that they've done with, they've said it's the most immersive Battlefield game, when how can it be immersive if they're not including half of the World War II theatre? But like, just looking at the maps that they've got, it's just like they're just bland, they're uninspiring.
This shit.
They're really shit to play, but the gunplay did keep me coming back because I did like the gunplay. I thought it probably is one of the best gunplay for me anyway, how it feels. But just the map.
See, Battlefield 5 was the only one that I never rage quit because I always class myself as a mediocre player in shooters. I'm very mediocre. Sometimes I'm proper shit. But that game is the only one I rage quit. And not because I died, because it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah, I just like the Pacific DLC I did kind of enjoy. I thought it was a nice step in the right direction. I did enjoy those maps. I thought it was a nice DLC, but again, they missed out so many like things that they could have built upon that. It just felt like
definitely
it was just missing. I think there was about 3 maps in it, and it was one of the better DLCs, but they just left it at that, and it was just kind of like, because you could tell that they were rushing towards the end. They were like, okay, we've got to get this out because basically the game's flopped. Nobody cares about it, and I mean you can even tell from just the viewership, it just goes down and down and down, and obviously YouTubers aren't going to cover it.
No,
and they knew that Boings, they're not going to make money off Boings.
That's another thing.
The cosmetics as well, like it was that was so annoying because the cosmetics all look shit, and then towards the end you could tell they were kind of like trying to listen but sort of not.
It was too late. It was too late,
and they were trying to go, okay, no, we are doing immersive, we understand, you said you wanted immersive. No, it's been a year, like the game's over now. Like, what you've said that you're cutting support for it, and now you're saying, okay, well, we'll do immersive or authentic gear, but it's like that's way too long. And
no, exactly.
The game needed, the game needed that kind of stuff could have been done, but you could tell that wasn't the direction that they wanted to go.
No,
so they never did that. You could tell the direction they really wanted to go was bionic arms, which they eventually took out because people were uproaring about that. They were like, oh, you got to take that out, it just looks ridiculous. And you could tell they were going for that steampunk vibe, and then as the game kind of progressed, they were starting to kind of try
and pulling it back. Yeah,
but it just never really happened.
No.
Yeah. So it was just a very poor offering, really.
So before I answer Mass Raider's question, can I just go to you, Stealth, and just apart from what we've talked about, the historic sort of thing, where do you think it went wrong on Battlefield 5?
Personally, I haven't had any hands-on experience with 5. I never ended up picking it up. But watching various bits here and there, I can certainly see issues with it. For example, the big balance patch that they put out that completely upfucked the time to kill, for example. A lot of people were up in arms about that.
Fuck up.
I was watching that, and I think it was North I was watching, actually. I think it was Ben's video. But I stopped listening to Ben. I'm sorry, Ben.
Easy done. Sorry, mate.
I was counting your shots, and I was counting your hits. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's still up. Tealed a bit. 5, 6, 7. Now he's fucking down. What's going on here? It didn't feel right. It honestly felt like an early 2000s game where all of the guns feel a bit
Well, I
air
came
gunnish.
back. Yeah, I came back, and the one thing I really enjoyed was the TTK. It was fine, and then they go, "Oh no, we're changing it now because we want to get more new
No.
players in." No,
You don't
one
get new
cares.
players in like that. That's not how you do it. Can I just propose a slight caveat to Masked's question of would you like to see a remaster?
Yeah.
Could we perhaps answer that in the style of which Battlefield game would we most like to see remastered?
Oh, which one do you know that's going to come?
All that.
Or maybes. Because I did a video, and it's probably the one that I would like to see remastered, and that's Battlefield 3. I'd like to see that remastered. I really like the game. I don't think, because I love Battlefield 4, they should never touch that. That was, for me, that was perfect. It started off absolutely garbage. It was a shitfest when it was actually released. But for me, if I could get a remaster, it would be Battlefield 3.
Yeah. I think that'd be great. Yeah, I think that'd be a really good remaster. I think it's. I mean, it still looks fantastic. The game still looks really good.
Holding its own.
Yeah, it's very good, but it would be nice to get it updated, and then the console players as well, because I used to play Battlefield 3 on console. So when that game released, it was 24 players for 30 FPS, I think, as well. It wasn't great. So like now, up in the sort of quality, you give the console players something as well, and maybe could have like crossplay between consoles as well. I think it could work. I'd heard about leaks as well, them saying that it was going to be Battlefield 3, but I don't know.
Yeah, because we had we had a leak, didn't we? That it was going to be that. It was Daiquiri. It's called Daiquiri now. But it was pretty much bang on about Battlefield 1. So you never know. But I would actually like to see that, and I believe it is happening. It probably won't now because, or maybe it will, because he was asked by a community manager, could you please take that down? So that might say something. Because I've heard that. Go on, Chris.
I think it's too late to actually have this remastered because, right now, like Battlefield is in a hiatus. It's like complete silence when it comes to these.
Yeah.
So we got like to wait 1.5 years now to actually see the fucking
next one. So on that, Chris. Well, can we? Sorry to butt in. By all means, finish. But can we go to Mass Raider's question?
For sure.
Are we excited about the next Battlefield? Because you've just hit on that, Chris. We'll go to you first. You've just hit on that, saying we've got to wait, a year and a half, whatever it is, for the next Battlefield. Are you excited? And what do you think in your mind it will be? And what do you think you would prefer?
So before we get into actual future of the Battlefield, just a quick addressing about the hiatus. The reason I wanted to actually see a Battlefield remastered is because there is a really long period between the old and the new title. So the void must be filled in with something, because after Battlefield 5, that fucking train wreck, everyone has gotten sour mouth because it was just a disaster.
And
so
now they owe us something.
Yeah. And a remaster doesn't matter. Look, they even had like a Bad Company remaster and they just cancelled it, so they have a next title developed. They should have at least released the remaster, for example, Battlefield 3, I don't know, Bad Company. Just release something in between these windows, because you are going to lose your community because of this mistake. Like, don't straight up just say, oh yeah, we are developing the title, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
You should have at least shown something or give us something to be excited for the next one, not just, yeah, fuck you. No, cancel, it's just a rumor, yeah. You gotta wait until next fucking year.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone might die by that day. So on the next Battlefield, like Battlefield 6, I don't know how it's called. I'm just calling it Battlefield 2021 because it can be Bad Company 3. It can be a new IP. It can be like Vietnam, maybe future, I'm really excited for the next one because I'm willing to forgive this bullshit.
I'm with you on that.
But if I ever see Call of Duty garbage pumped into the next Battlefield, I swear I'm dropping this franchise. I'm not kidding. That's my thing. I'm excited, but they shouldn't fuck it up.
No. And actually, we could, sorry, lads. Can we bring Slavic in because he's been really quiet, and I keep forgetting that he's still in the background. What are your thoughts on the next Battlefield? What would you like to see? What do you think they will bring out? And what are your thoughts generally on Battlefield 2021? Should we call it?
I think I might want something new. Like, I know, like, Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 were modern day shooters, but I want another modern day shooter, like, something to do, like, all around the world, and, like, in urban areas, like, in subplated in Iraq and all that stuff.
Sounds good, that.
Different stories, good gunplay, and, like, accurate guns depending what area you're in, you know what I mean?
So whatever continent or country, yeah. I get
like
where you're
if
going.
In a pre-Soviet state, like AK-47s, Dragunovs, SVDs, and all stuff like that. That's what I'm thinking of.
No, that's a decent idea, to be honest. Stealth, what about you, mate?
I'm gonna give a popular opinion and an unpopular opinion. I think I personally feel that it is almost, I'm going to say sort of 70-30 split, that it'll be Battlefield 3 remastered, or it will be a Battlefield 6, quote-unquote, a new game. But I feel that more than likely, from both a community, a development, and a business perspective, it's probably going to be a remaster of Battlefield 3. My unpopular opinion of what Battlefield game I would like to actually see, though, is I would like a sequel to 2142.
Really?
I thoroughly enjoyed 2142.
I agree.
Because it was the first Battlefield that had customization. It took Battlefield into a type of Battlefield, if you'll pardon the pun, that we hadn't seen before. It also gave us new game modes and new spin upon infantry vehicle warfare. So, for example, the jets and the helicopters have been merged together. We had VTOLs instead. They were very much in between the two of them. You could use them as a gunship or you could use them as a jet. We also had the addition of walkers, which shook things up as being a sort of, just beneath the tanks, but much, much more effective against infantry and light fortifications. We also had diversity between the two teams. For example, you had the EU or the Western tracked main battle tank, and on the opposite side, for the Pan-Asian Coalition, you had the Nakamura hover tank. So things were asymmetric all of a sudden. They were very interesting, but what I absolutely adored was the final push on Titan mode, where you jump in an APC or you get in one of the transport VTOLs, you go in with your squad, and then there's just that immediate ting 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 as all of those drop pods are slamming onto that back deck. Gunfire opens up immediately because you've got no cover. You dive down behind the boxes and you're just firing off. You're grabbing whatever squad mates have made it. You're pushing into that big hole and you're like, right, we need to get those consoles. And then suddenly you go from that big outside area into a slight small area. Then you're in that knife fighting corridor. And I shit you not, I've had times where my gun has clicked and I've had to actually pull out that knife and bury it in a man's chest.
You'd make Steve McQueen really happy. He loved that game.
Getting to that console and you can't stop me. And as soon as you get that open, you get in the core, you take out the core, those alarms begin blurring, and you just have that beautiful, beautiful moment as your buddies who you fought long and hard for the past 45 minutes, you jump off the back of that,
cool.
You dive, and you pull that parachute.
So you'd like a futuristic game? You'd like a sort of
I don't want a far future one. I want a near future one.
Okay, yeah. No, that's brilliant.
High sci-fi, but very gritty, grounded,
No,
realistic.
cool. That sounds really good, actually.
Battlefield actually made me sad. The biggest regret of my life was actually not playing 2142 online.
You honestly, you missed out on something that was beautiful.
I really regret missing it.
I personally
Sure.
feel that
Is that a missing gem? That one is that one because I didn't play it. Is that a gem that we've pretty much missed?
People that I have spoke to, and a lot of people in the community, do highly regard 2142.
Sure.
It got into a bit of a similar situation as Hardline. Of it was something new. People liked it. People didn't like it. But the people that did get into it and did play,
Loved it.
It felt Battlefield. It felt like you had just gone from 2 into another Battlefield. It was absolute perfect fit. It didn't feel, too different. You felt like you were playing a Battlefield game, and it just worked.
Cool.
It was just Battlefield, is all I could say about it. It was the good old Battlefield.
Excellent. I just want to say hello to Baincand and NL Smile. NL, thank you. They are people who come on my videos. Thanks for coming along. It's really great that you're supporting us. I just want to say, just before I go on to Ben, there's 4 people in tonight. We've got Christy from Christy Gaming Zone. If you could go and subscribe to him. We've got Stealth Slicer 77. If you could go and subscribe to him. We've got North Cinematics. That's Ben at North Cinematics. If you please could go and subscribe to him. We've got not Stealth Slicer. We've got Slavic or the Slavic Pigeon. Go and subscribe to him as well. We're going to be doing this probably every Friday night, and we're looking for anything that you could suggest that we can talk about. So I appreciate you all coming along, but please, because we're all doing YouTube, we're all content creators. But if you're not subscribed and you subscribe to me and you're not subscribed to the chaps, please go along and subscribe to them as well. So Ben, your thoughts. What do you think the next one's going to be? What would you like it to be, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to touch upon the BF3 remaster as well, because I did reach out to Almighty Dak's source, and he seems pretty adamant that it's going to be BF3 remaster. He was like, well, basically, BF3 remaster should be EA's next big announcement. He said there was going to be cross-play for current gen and next gen. He said there was going to be like an ultimate edition for PC users, and then they were going to like add cosmetics and stuff. But yeah, I don't know about Almighty Dak, because I mean, he was right about a lot of stuff with BF1, but then BF5, he kind of, I don't.
Anyone could have said that. In all fairness,
it was basically just all he got right was that it was going to be World War II.
Oh, Howard, that's a naughty one. But we'll get onto that, Howard. We'll go on. Yeah, we'll go on. We'll go on that when Ben's finished. Go on, Ben.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I'd just say that I'd want a modern game. That's all I want, really. I want a Battlefield 4.
Sure.
Give me what we saw there, and I'll be happy,
slightly near future.
Edging on to slightly near future now, because I think there's a lot of good stuff that they can do. Give some creative liberty as well. They can show prototype weapons.
That's exactly the same with me.
Yeah. So that's really it for me. If they can do solid modern sort of near future game, I'll be happy with that.
I think I'm going to go on the lines of what you've just said, Ben. I think what we'll see is a remaster of Battlefield 3. I think that's not going to be the main Battlefield game. I think there is another one in development, what I'd like to see. So I think we'll get a Battlefield 3 remaster, then we'll get the official new Battlefield when they said they're going to release that.
So do you think it'll happen then?
I think we'll get a Battlefield 3 very soon, or sooner than you think. That's all I would like to say at the moment. But excuse me, I personally would like a non-factual near future game. So DICE has the luxury to do what they want, but I would like realistic weapons that we've seen now, maybe iterations of weapons that might be should we say a little different, that they could modernize them in a way that their artistic mind took them, but I don't think it should have any sort of factual content in it. So they could make a fictitious world, and I think Slavic was on the right track. I'd like to see it all around the world, and all the guns that you use were relevant to that. So for argument's sake, say there was a British faction that had to go and fight a war in Russia. So yes, they would go over with British weapons, but as the campaign went on or the conflict went on, you'd lose weapons, and the only weapons you could pick up were weapons from that area. I think that's the way I would like to see the next Battlefield game. But I think in between an official Battlefield game, I think we'll get a remaster of Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
So should we go on to that question? Who was it again that said it? Let's have a look.
What is
Howard
better,
Hopkins.
Battlefield or Call of Duty?
Yes, so should we go there, gentlemen? We'll start off with you, Stealth. Howard Hopkins has put the question, which is the better franchise, Battlefield or Call of Duty?
And the answer to that is, it depends what era you want, because if you start with the early eras, a la your Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, and your Battlefield 1942, Battlefield 2 and 2142. Battlefield stood head and shoulders above Call of Duty. I don't care what you say otherwise. It just did. It was spot on. It was a lovely, lovely game. Call of Duty, not saying it was bad, it just didn't hold the candle for Battlefield in my mind. However, as the generations progressed, I got more out of touch with both games, I will admit that. But I would definitely say that it seems COD is doing a little bit better now than Battlefield on account of just the shambles that DICE have been through with the past 2.5 games. The chaps over working on Call of Duty, they just seem to be able to release more consistently content that people are enjoying and that people aren't having issues with.
Okay, so let's go over to Chris. Battlefield or Call of Duty, mate?
So
I'm going for a cigarette, by the way, so you'll have to keep talking, and if you need to stop, Ben can come straight in.
Cool. So it's definitely Battlefield, because like I said, in Call of Duty I've only seen like campaigns covering like the games. It's only like you go forward, you only see like shooters and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Battlefield has vehicles, planes, boats, infantry, everything all in one. And especially when it's powered with mods, like Call of Duty is getting destroyed. With new ones, I'd say like Call of Duty has got an upper hand, or towards like Battlefield 5, because just to state this, I have like a half an hour rant on Battlefield 5 on how just garbage it is. And Modern Warfare, although it has its own issues, I made a couple of rants about it, it's still a better game than what Battlefield V offered to us like in its entire lifetime. So as of right now, the edge is towards Call of Duty.
I don't know about that. I feel like none of them are great, to be honest. I just think the bar was so low with Battlefield 5 that basically anything Call of Duty did was going to be better. I think there's issues with both games, like you said, but yeah.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention on that. If we were to repose the question slightly as to what is your personal preference, my personal preference based on what I play would still be Battlefield.
Okay.
But basing it on which one is doing the best right now, I think we're all on the same page. Sort of. Hello, Devlin. Just seeing you. Wave chat. Basing it purely upon which franchise is quote unquote doing better right now. Yeah, I think we've all hit the nail on the head there, but I'm very much in Smail's camp of I don't want to touch another COD game because I've just not had an interest in COD in forever.
For eons, yeah.
If you are comparing the two games right now, as Ben said, the bar's just so low right now. It's
just
not hard
so
to get
low.
over.
Like, I think both games are not. Like, people are going, like, I know the war between like COD and Battlefield is like, oh, Battlefield.
It is a thing.
It's like Call of Duty. I go, well, yeah, okay. They I suppose they're filling like the niche, and they know their audience, and the audience that they have enjoy that content, or they seem to anyway. But I'd only say the reason we're saying COD is so good is because of Warzone. Like, if it wasn't because of Warzone, I think the game would have failed. Like, from what I've played of like the multiplayer, I know Devlin really enjoys multiplayer, but I've got to say it's not a great game. Like the maps are way too large, and I think the only sort of maps that I enjoy are like the older ones, like Rust and stuff. But other than that, it's just so slow, and just that's not Call of Duty for me. Call of Duty is fast-paced action and, you know, cool kill streaks and stuff like that. But I just think what we got with this COD, the multiplayer was it was poor. It really, really poor. I like some of the things they were trying to do, and I like you know, certain mechanics that they were adding, and I enjoyed the campaign as well. But I just think for multiplayer, that was really didn't enjoy that. But then again, for me, Warzone is one of the better battle royales, and I do actually quite enjoy it. So I suppose people look at that and they go, yeah, COD's been a successful game, but
because of that,
mostly because of Warzone.
Because of that, yeah.
So Slavic Pigeon, what are your thoughts on this, mate? Is it Battlefield for you, or is it Call of Duty?
50-50. Personally, I would say Battlefield, but there's both pros and cons of both. Like, COD has an amazing... They make really amazing storylines to their games, and Battlefield just, in general, has a better multiplayer experience for me.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's gone off. Can you still hear me?
Yeah,
All right, because I think my OBS has just stopped working, but I'll carry on anyway. So for me, it's Battlefield all day long, but this and that was a last chance. Battlefield 5V was the last chance for me. For me now, I play a lot of Call of Duty. I do like the multiplayer. I've been really enjoying it. I've been playing the shit out of it. But for me, it's always going to be Battlefield. But if they fuck it up the next time, I'm dropping it. It's as simple as that. Just want to say hello to Lisa Hopkins, who's Howard's better half and the better player, actually. he'll go absolutely balmy in the chat, I bet you.
So can I butt in? The only reason we got Battlefield versus Call of Duty, all of this bologna sausage, how the courting likes to say it, is because DICE actually fired shots at Call of Duty. That's why we got this everlasting fight between the franchises. I think this is a wrong move, because they started picking on like one of the lower side, of the player field. It was solely focused on like infantry firefight. It's only rated to the casuals. That's why you always see Warzone, like normal Call of Duty, it's always going up and up and up. Meanwhile, Battlefield has its own formula, and because it startled Call of Duty, we now see Warzone having Battlefield formula in it. Like, that was the biggest mistake DICE could actually do to themselves. So,
can you guys just carry on talking? I think it's because my battery ran out on my camera. So, if you could just keep talking.
It's still going though, isn't it?
It's still going. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I just think with Call of Duty, someone said in the chat as well about
it's back on
as well. Like the campers for me, like there's so many in Call of Duty, it's just like ridiculous. But I just think the overall experience just for me is been really poor.
Can I tag something onto those points, Chris and Ben? Something that I do personally feel quite passionately about even is that COD found a formula that worked.
Mass Raider, the camera's back on now, mate. It was a bloody battery ran out. Sorry, Stealth.
No worries. COD found a formula that worked and never really evolved, whereas Battlefield was always trying something new. It was always trying to find something new, and I feel that contributes quite heavily to which you perceive as the better game. So, for example, Call of Duty, infantry warfare, there you go. Kill streaks, granted they were fixed initially. That's something. That works. Next game, okay, a bit more customization. You can pick your kill streaks. Next game, new maps, but you can still pick your kill streaks, pick your stuff. Whereas on Battlefield side, you know, you start out. Oh, Devlin's shown us down. You start out with infantry warfare, and you have vehicles. Okay, this is cool. What is something?
Sorry, can I just put in? You know, when Lisa came on, look at the chat. I'm just gonna put it on because YouTube stopped it. Definitely, you're an arsehole. So I said he'd come on. Howard, I love you, son.
So, Battlefield, on the other hand, you had set classes, but you had vehicles. Then initially they thought, you know what was actually interesting?
Cheers, Randy.
Let's give them customization. Let's give them new game mode entirely. Let's give them Levolution come 4. Well, 3 I class as sort of the beta test for Levolution, because you did have certain big changes, such as the JDAM strike at the start of Operation Metro. That's unforgettable. And then it feels like Battlefield has always been trying to evolve something within its games, whereas Call of Duty is just seemingly stuck rigidly to that base formula. And has never really deviated. It's never really done anything new with its games, almost. Granted, we now have Battle Royale mode, but I don't even class that as an innovation.
That's not
exactly. I don't class that as an innovation.
Wait, Battlefield has a Battle Royale? I actually forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Firestorm, was it? Yeah, Firestorm.
It's new to COD, but it is not.
But they did it right.
It's just something that they've jumped on.
I was never a Battle Royale fan. I hated the concept, but you know what? I think Warzone's great. I actually like Plunder better, but Warzone, I think they done it right. And I mean, sometimes we'll go on, it'll be laggy as shit, but you know, in general, they've put that out there, and I think it's fantastic mode in the game.
I actually agree with Stealth. Like, Battlefield is always evolving, because if you were, for example, taking like the formula we got in like 1942, it'd still be
7 classes, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 4 classes.
Condense it down to like 5 or something.
Yeah, there is no upgrades like, you know, customization, you know, perks and all this stuff. If they weren't upgraded, we'd still be like at levels of 2002 game.
Yeah.
Yet
it wouldn't
have
have survived.
Upgrade. Yeah, with the constant upgrade, like we got Battlefield 3. So it started the customization. Everything was like put in place.
I was literally about to say, if you tried to take Battlefield 2 and just keep doing Battlefield 2, it'd die out quickly because it doesn't have the customization. And as I said, Battlefield does this pretty wonderful thing where each game is almost like a beta test of something that they see just on the horizon. For example, 2142, you could pick between 1 or 2 different primary weapons for each class, and you also had 2 equipment slots that you could fill out with 1 or 2 specific bits of gear for your class. Oh, look at that, Battlefield 3, fully customizable kits. Battlefield 3, that JDAM strike on Operation Metro. Oh, look at that, Battlefield 4, we're bringing down skyscrapers and breaking dams. There's always something, and it always feels like they see something that's just over the horizon. And then in Battlefield 3/4, we got the Commander, we got the AC-130 gunships. Oh, look at that, we're getting Zeppelins and trains. We're getting things that are actually now part of the game mode and part of the map and part of the actual objective rather than just cool set piece. It's always just over the horizon. They always want to just probe ideas, and they're always moving towards something. Call of Duty it either stays the same or
it's always Call of Duty.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're right. Like Battlefield 3, we got the customization. Battlefield 4 expanded on that and added, like, you know, custom events and all this kind of stuff, Revolution and stuff. Although it was like gameplay breaking sometimes, this bullshit of a Revolution, it still was like a beta testing and implementation that developers wanted to do. And we've grown to Battlefield 1, where you can actually get like fucking huge Zeppelins, huge, like massive things, which you can actually control and destroy the map. Because they wanted to do this kind of stuff in Battlefield 4. Like the final DLC, there was like a map where you are fighting basically in a hangar, and there was like a Titan.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Actually, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm sad about that.
Yeah, they wanted to make it so like you could actually activate it so you can fly it all over the map. That was like a lost idea, and they done it in Battlefield 1.
Yeah. That would be an incredible game mode, actually. You fight over some sort of super weapon, one team deploys it, and then the other team has to, if it was a Titan, get inside it and get rid of it.
And
That
it's a
would be a
shame.
very
No, it
interesting.
would. It would.
It's a shame it was lost. And in Battlefield 5, they got rid of basically everything. What's actually memorable of Battlefield 5? Do you actually have any
like
moments
attrition,
that
didn't
you
they?
remember?
My memory
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It's only
Ben
attrition.
pissing me off saying, come and play so I can get footage. That's my memory of Battlefield 5 every time.
That's why I moved to Sandstorm. Like it basically.
Oh, God.
Should
Should we, can I just stop you there, Chris? You just reminded me of something. Ben, just, I know it's a Battlefield podcast this evening, but have you got anything you could possibly tell us about Sandstorm? Or are you allowed to say anything? Because I've told you I know something, and you said, "How did you find out?" Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say it.
Say this time, just because.
Okay.
We can still talk about the announcement, but they have said that this bit's like NDA, so you can't say anything.
Okay, because I know, and you know, I approached you this time and said, I know what's going on, and you even at that point said, I can't say Devlin. So I'm sorry I put you on the spot there, but
no, that's fine. But I think we could still talk about this because, we spoke a little bit about this, just about saying, because in your video you said that you don't think that it's going to come to current gen.
Yes.
So I was interested in that because I thought it'd be good to get your thoughts on it. Like, why do you actually not think that it's coming to current gen?
Because I was told that.
And you definitely think that's.
Unless the NWI can be transparent, I will only go off the something I've been told that's been pretty much 100% all the way through, and you can see it in my videos. I've been pretty much right all the way through. So unless this guy's been caught and they've said feed him shit information, I honestly, you know what? I'd love it to come on this gen consoles. You want my honest answer? It's not coming to this gen console.
Guys, I was just going to say as well, because there's been a state of production that's just released. I was just going to check if it had said anything.
Yeah, it popped up before. It popped up before. There's number 10. Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, number 10. Yeah. So no.
To put a slightly separate spin on this before we
go off on a tangent
off the chat.
Devlin has his sources, Ben has his sources. I'm looking at this from a purely outside perspective. Granted, I am a software developer, so I've at least a marginal understanding of how this works. They're no one fucking near it. They've absolutely shown no signs that they are near it. And of the change that they have made to the game from a software and a technology perspective, it's obvious from a technical perspective that it's nowhere near ready, and it's
and as a developer, you would know that, wouldn't you? I mean, you're not a games developer, but you're a software developer, so you know they must. In your honest opinion, as a software developer, not a games developer, do you think this game's ready for consoles this gen?
Not in the slightest.
Right.
Because
thank you.
We had optimization issues; they were never fixed. We had a complete strip down of the game to make it quote unquote console ready, where they removed a lot of things and downgraded a lot of things, and it still runs like trash on a high-end PC. It's just not ready for the hardware. That's what I think is happening.
I think the next thing they're going to say is that, we're struggling and we're looking to get this game out. I don't think it'll be another announcement. That's not based on what I've been told.
So what were you saying, Chris? Chris, I thought you were trying to jump in then.
I was actually going to say, to respect the chat, I think we should steer back towards.
Yes, let's go back. Let's go back. And gentlemen, just to put everything in perspective, we've been streaming for nearly an hour and 40 minutes. Don't want to bore people, so what I'm going to ask every individual on the bench, should we call it the bench? Fuck knows. But the panel, yes, in the panel, I'm going to go through everyone and ask for your top 3 Battlefield games. So I'm going to go to Slavic Pigeon first. Is it Battlefield 4, 4 and 4?
Yeah, I was exactly going to say that.
It's unfortunate that Slavic's not had that much experience in Battlefield. So I'm going to go to Stealth. Your top 3 Battlefield games, mate.
My top 3 Battlefield games would have to be Battlefield 3, closely, excuse me, closely followed by Battlefield 2142, and tied with 2. I could not elevate 2 over 2142.
So 2 and 42 are your favourites?
Yeah, 2142
Cool.
opposed to 1942.
Cool.
I can't say one is higher than the other because, as I believe it was Smail said earlier in chat, they're so close to each other. 2142 just has the Battlefield 2 feel.
I know. When we've done ours, I'm going to go to everyone else's in the chat. So, Chris, your top 3.
All right, first is already known by everyone. Of course, it's Battlefield 2.
Yeah.
Second one, I know this will be a bit controversial. I know. Bad Company, original Bad Company, because that was like a revolutionary step for the Battlefield franchise.
Yeah.
And the third one is, of course, third time's the charm, Battlefield 3. Although Battlefield 4 offered me so many memories, because I've been ranting on this bitch since I was going through the patches. Like, I've seen it end on like a successful note. I've seen Hardline, although it tried to be its own thing, it still flopped.
Okay.
Even 2142, I was really pumped to try it out, but sadly I failed to do so because just as a GameSpy like shut down, it was end of an era. So it's Battlefield 3 because I played all of my life Battlefield 2, the original Bad Company for its basically an evolution for this franchise,
Sure.
and Battlefield 3 because it actually made my best memories in the Frostbite era.
Cool. And Ben, your top 3, mate, Battlefield?
So Bad Company 2, I think, would be sort of my third place.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed the Vietnam DLC. I thought that was my most favourite DLC. Then Battlefield 3, I think at the time I didn't get as many hours in as I wanted when it first came out, but then I sort of grown to love it when I got a PC and I started playing it more. And then I think number 1 has to be Battlefield 4 for me. Just the
Cool.
amount of customization, everything. It was a really solid game.
Nice one. So it's just left with myself and what my choices would be. It might be a little controversial here, but my third place would be Battlefield 3. My second place, would be Hardline, believe it or not. And my favourite Battlefield game of all time was Battlefield 4. But when I say 3 was my third, it was touch and go with Battlefield 1, believe it or not. So mine is third place, Battlefield 3, then Hardline, then Battlefield 4. And I it's just because I love Battlefield 4. It was the game for me, in all fairness. So I'm going to look at the chat, see what their sort of choices were. So let's have a look. So Mass Raider, he went with Battlefield 2, 2142 and 1942. So Mass Raider, what was it? Was it Battlefield 2 was your favourite, or was it the other way round, or was that third?
I think it's 1, 2, 3,
second,
just like us.
All right, okay, no worries. So Smalley or Small or Smail, he's gone with Bad Company 2, BF3, BF4, which is a decent choice, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he actually said Hardline was fun. Lisa Hopkins has gone with Hardliners only. Mass Raider, no Bad Company 2. No.
Oh yeah, that's a bit controversial.
I know, but I'm sorry. It didn't do it. It's not. Do you know what I mean? So, but I've had a great night tonight. How have your lads' night been? Do you think
been great.
it's been all right tonight? So,
Yeah.
also we've got. Can I just put in Randy Higgins? He's done BF3, BF4, and Bad Company 2. So I think that's about it. So, gentlemen, how's the stream been for you tonight?
Yeah, I think it's been
Amazing.
really good. I think it's been
It was just
productive.
So should we finish off by saying don't forget to subscribe to everyone? Obviously, if you're just watching the stream and you are not subscribed to me, subscribe to this bitch, by the way. Also, Chris at CT Gaming Zone, Stealth Slicer 77, North Cinematics, and Slavic Pigeon. I'm sure they'd all appreciate your subscriptions. It helps the channel. And we're going to try and do this every Friday night. So whoever's channel you are subscribed to, or you can contact us on any of our channels. Let us know what you think you would like us to talk about. I'm going to get all the gentlemen in here now to just say goodnight, and we'll start off with Slavic Pigeon. Say goodnight.
Good night, everyone.
And Stealth Slicer.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe, stay indoors.
And Chris.
Good night, everyone. See you in the next stream.
And we've got Ben saying goodnight.
Yeah, good night, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. We've got 12 viewers, so thank you, everyone. It's been great.
And all I can say is this is Mr. Devlin out.